Hey there, Jen, Sammy, and Little Girl here. I hope everybody is doing well and blessed. This is going to be a weird video. It's going to be one of those. I'm a little wore out of politics, but I am going to go over a current event right quick. Please give me a second to pull up something I'd like to pull up here, just so there's a screen over here. Where do we want to start, you guys? Let's start here. All right, hang on, guys. I'm getting there. All right. Now I'm going to share the screen. Thanks for your patience. Here we go. I'm just pulling up a screen so that when people get here, they don't say, oh, it's a black screen, it's not working, and leave. Now, we have talked about these things before. We often revisit and information that we've gone over. It is important to check in and see if there is new information added. We all probably know at this point not to trust the media. We understand there are a lot of quote unquote bad actors out there. But for this video, I need you to suspend your belief and or disbelief. That's the thing I need you to do. And to do that, sometimes I do short thought experiment type questions at the beginning of the video. The goal is to get you to see things from a perspective that is not your norm. Because what happens is, for example, if you're stuck in a political paradigm, you're only seeing things at that level. If you can raise yourself above all of the paradigms, like above a stadium, you can see the whole game or the whole chessboard and not just from your own point of view. And that really helps you when getting to know your enemy. It is important that you do that. So the first thing I need you to do is to suspend your belief and or disbelief for a couple of moments. Now, what I'm going to do is address a couple of things that have been mentioned in the media, because if you've been here for the last couple of videos, you'll know that I mentioned these and then suddenly they're in the media. Why am I telling you about this? Because I want to very quickly build trust with the new people that are here, and because this channel is not the original channel. On the original channel, there was more people. And this one has had a slower start, and we are at a point now where I think it's important to be as open and blunt as possible, but also to be as wise as serpents and as blameless as doves, meaning to understand how we are interacting with each other and the world around us. And we're not going to be able to make wise decisions if we don't have a broader picture of what's happening. So real quick, just bear with me while I mention a couple of things. You'll notice in a few videos ago, I talked about Sharpies, about how that friend of my husband's, the one who talked about Stormy, the one who said she knew high-level people that he had met one day in a cab. Now, again, I live in a small town in Ohio. The point of all of this is to show you that the television, the screens, are basically a control mechanism. They are how they get people, us, to police each other. And I think it's been happening for our entire childhood. Now, the other day I mentioned Sharpies, about how what president uses Sharpies to sign things and are they even valid? Quite seriously, almost the next day, they talk about Biden's signature not being valid. The first thing to know is when they show you these things on the world stage, and I know you're looking at something right now that I'm not talking about. This is the intro to the video. So again, if you're not adult enough to have an attention span longer than a few seconds, I hope you are, because again, I've seen a lot of my own material on TikTok videos. This is material that you're going to want, okay? Because I'm going to talk about some things that have been going on that affect us all. So literally, I had mentioned Sharpies and about how is that valid? First thing to know is everything they show you on TV is a set in a stage. Those actual documents, that is just for show. The president, the real whoever, signs those things behind the scenes. Okay, so know that first of all. It doesn't matter what they're doing on the screen there. That is just to show us, that is just a presentation. It's not him signing the actual document, okay? The second thing, again, as I just mentioned, Sharpies cannot possibly be valid, and then they bring up this Biden thing. We've also noticed a lot of talk about telepathy and this GATE program. And we also know that there was an alleged false alien invasion in the skies in the mid 50s, allegedly. We know that there's time missing or something radical happened around the year of 1888 until about 1915 when they did the reset then. I told you in the beginning of all this that it was best to stay out of the woods and not to go camping unless you obeyed some basic rules. I found that old video from the first channel. I will be uploading that after this one. It's how to stay safe in the woods. And Friday the 13th showed us that. We do have people here trying to help us via the media and the screens because that's what we are looking at so much. But you can't just go by that, and that's where discernment comes in. Now, again, I need you to suspend your belief and or disbelief, and I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, once I'm done with this, I'm going to ask you a short thought experiment question, and I want you to think about it. I don't want you to answer it, at least not right away, not till the video is almost over. Think about it, and if you feel like posting your answer, you can, but it's not something I'm asking you to do specifically. The idea is to get you thinking in a different way, okay? And again, some of these topics we're revisiting. All right, so I'm tying things together here. And if you missed a little bit of the beginning, you're going to have to go back. With the underwater cables that connect the internet that allegedly were put down there the 50s and 60s. But the internet allegedly wasn't publicized, at least until 1995. Oh, shoot, CERN in the title. That's the other part of this video. I need to write this down because I'm tying a lot of things together here. Because the point is that I want to keep doing videos. My conscience can't bear it. The amount of water, and I know this sounds weird to most people, but the amount of water that is being used to stream for AI, like AI is the algorithm, guys. The algorithms are built that is artificial intelligence. It is a system running by itself with, being programmed by a human, but needing no human interference. So an algorithm is also an AI. YouTube, Google, if you look into it a little bit, uses water for these things. And I had somebody post a question yesterday and say, well, can you give me the proof of this? Okay, I just told you that my conscience can't bear it, and you're asking me to re-Google the answer for you and to copy and paste the whole thing here. That's the problem with our cognitive dissonance. I just told you what was wrong with it and that I couldn't bear it. And right in the next comment, somebody's asking me to go against my conscience. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep doing this. I'm praying on it right now. All I know is God asked me to be a witness and to point to things and to help people see. That's all I know that my, main purpose is right now. And so that's what I do. Okay, so we've talked about these underwater cables of the internet. And again, how did they get there? Who put them there? How long have they been there? Now I'm going to have to point to CERN, but give me a second to get there, all right? With the underwater cables, keep that in the back of your mind for a second because I'm going to move to water now for a minute. A few days ago, I posted a long video about the thing people had been sharing on TikTok about dolphins being telepathic, and we did a whole live stream about nothing but that. And about studies that were done in the 60s and about how bestiality came into the picture, and it just got really, really wild, right? When I went to Florida, that's when everything changed for me, at least. Like, that's when I really got pulled into, like, I believe hearing the voice of God. But I also told you that I don't think I was hearing just the voice of God, that these things that are spoken of in the tribulation, it says they come out of the field and attack man, which is abnormal. That's unnatural. The way is for the beasts to be under our domain. And I told you that these things were awake. I told you that I think they were getting out of the national parks now. I showed you an example of a commercial where Bigfoot is turned into people staying at an Airbnb, and how he says, we take care of your homes, please take care of ours. I told you that I believe that's why the Native American Indians, a lot of the elders had passed from this last generation, and they those protective measures that they took spiritually, and I'm not talking about like paganism, anti-Christian, Christian, like again, suspend your belief system. The old ones who knew about these things, so let's not presume that we know better, are gone. And I saw a comment yesterday on a channel that I watch, and I even said that's a weird comment to make. The guy said, now he's in Florida. That's all he posts is like stuff about this immigration stuff that's happening and traveling through Florida. And he says, this generation of old folks are a lot more fun than the last one that passed away a few years ago. They're not as stale. Not as stale. Isn't that a word you use for food? Read the comment sections, guys. Now, again, I cannot tell you what to accept, believe, or receive as truth in this video, but I will say that a lot of speculation on my part will occur. I will give you my theories, and that's why I'm covering this quick catch up. And again, it allows people to get to the video and get the notification too. If you don't have the patience longer than a goldfish, whatever befalls you at this time, no offense, is kind of your due, because people are trying to warn you. They're using every different means that they can, and everyone thinks it's just entertainment. Look up the real definition of entertainment and you'll understand. So now all these topics, I'm about to bring them together, so give me a second and get there. Now, we've talked about the telepathic nature of dolphins, allegedly. Me going to Florida, coming back, hearing the voice of God, dreaming of God and angels, but also hearing the voice of something else trying to lure me into the woods. I talked about that, and missing 411. And now I'm going to touch on CERN real quick, and then I'm going to read you a story that I found online. Now, right now, you're looking at a title, because I need you to understand these things actually, truly, and really do exist. And why they exist, that's up to you to discern. I'm just bringing you all of these different little bits. Okay, so CERN, what CERN is actually doing is they are attempting, and I will prove this if you would like me to, but I've shown it in other videos, what they're attempting to do by harnessing neutrons, the God particle, like all these things, is they're capturing an angel. Now, I've said that for 2 years or more now, at least 2 years. I've told you that LHC has multiple purposes. I told you that they're not just in CERN, that there are a couple in the US. I've told you that they mess with the fabric of time, because all of the mechanics that you need to travel through time, allegedly, theoretically speaking, are what make up the LHC. But it's not just one thing. And you should understand that, right? A car can be used as a lot of things. People use them as houses now, right? People use them to get around. People use them as planters and decoration. Most things have more than one use. And these other beings have been around a very long time. Efficiency is something they are key at, which is why they don't have a lot of patience when we err, make mistakes, because they are almost nearly like machines. This is where the term NPC comes from. So what CERN is trying to do is to capture an angel with neurons and protons and dark and light. When you investigate the science of it and the definitions of all the terms, it's light rays that they're trying to catch and harness the energy of, and those are angels. Now, I've also flown at you the idea that since the place is built literally on Apollo's temple from back in the day, my mom being from Apollo, Pennsylvania. Um, from that being there, it's also very likely the pit, right? It is where there are angels trapped, but it's a gateway, it's a portal. It can travel, you can go in and out, right? Okay. So again, they're trying to capture an angel to harness the energy. And it might be, they might need the one angel to let the other one out. And we know that from scripture. All right, so I'm going to read you something. This urban legend has been around in a variety of forms for a while. There is this thing, I think it's called the Granada Treaty. And allegedly, and it was on American Horror Story, they wrote about it in one of the last seasons. And it's allegedly a true story about our government making an agreement with alien beings. You need to understand, again, there's more than one thing happening. It's not just their children who are up and awake and the ones with the mark of Cain who are making meals of humans again, which I do not consent to. Mankind is not food. This is my theory. They're not just making food of us again. They're using our vessels so that they can live again. Now hold on to that. I'm gonna ask you that thought experiment question now, because I need you to get into a place where your belief is kind of up in the air so that you can listen to this story and decide on your own what to accept or not, okay? The question I'm going to ask you, and no fear on this channel, okay? No fear. The point is that once you have the information, you can make wise decisions and you can wield your consent. Your tongue is your sword, my friends. My mom used to say I had a tongue that cut like a knife and I never understood it. Now I'm showing you this article for a reason, but I'm going to move to a different screen now to share with you. And I'm going to check to make sure it did. I'm going to ask a question. And again, I don't need an answer about it for a minute. All right. Can you remember the last time you saw or got stuck in traffic behind a funeral procession? Don't answer, just think about it. I'm going to ask you another question that goes with that. Do you remember the last time you saw a new cemetery being erected or founded? And there's one more question that goes along with this. Do you remember or recall the last time that you drove by or went to a cemetery and saw somebody being buried? Don't answer, just think about it. All of this stuff that I'm talking about right now, the telepathy, everything goes together because the telepathy is not just from God and angels. I think maybe me going to Florida is what woke it up because I was near the sea. I think it literally is our other beings that share the plane with us trying to warn us about what is here. Now we've got something coming out of the forest, and we've got a real ginormous enemy that we can't see. How do you work cloaking? How do you make that scientific? In a nutshell, these beings are set at a different frequency set at, so we cannot see them. We see their effects, like when they go through the trees and the trees separate, or when you see a hand come out of the sky and grab a plane. This is why they're not flying planes. And I told you in 2019. And I'm mad at myself for getting rid of the original channel because in a lot of my videos, you could see and hear planes going by. I rarely get that anymore. And then 2 months ago, I posted a video and you can look it up. Somebody was running down my street. I was sitting in my room with the window open and they yelled, "Help me!" And it sounded just like the story that's going around now about like these mimics. They're telling you, don't go help. It's not really. Friends, what if it is somebody really in danger and they don't want you to help them? So they're saying it's just a mimic. Or what if they're right and it is a mimic? Either way, no matter what, it adds up to no good. Now, I want you to think about what you've seen and what you've not seen in the past few years since 2019 and the lockdowns. And you tell me what you think. And I'm going to tell you something else about the tunnels, about people disappearing, and they don't know how people are getting in and out of their houses. They're getting in and out through the tunnels. And they're telling you all of this. Now they're mocking us. Now they're showing you that the White House has a set in it. Oh, Biden did this. No, dude, that's what it's always looked like. They're not going to tell you where the leader of the free world lives. They probably all legit still live underground. And we know from the Bible scripture that that's not good, that they're not going to be saved. I've seen a lot of bad advice on the internet. Something else I saw that I want to make you aware of again. This all goes back to eating. Adam and Eve, their first sin was eating. God had all the Canaanites ended because of eating, because they ate his children. Everyone, oh God, they were eating his children. What would a good father do? We're not food. No matter what anyone tells you, we are not food and we are not slaves, and you are sovereign. And you need to get that through your head real quick. I'm here to help because I love you. And a lot of people are trying to get word out, and they're literally risking their lives to try and get this information out to you. I'm not someone who can sugarcoat things. I'm not a good liar. I can weave a story. And if I were sitting around a campfire, I would tell you this story. But we're adults. And what you decide to believe, receive, and accept as truth is up to you. There was also bad advice going around, and I just thought of this one. Why do you suppose that, like, they tell targeted individuals if you think you're getting zapped by something, that you should put foil up in your walls? Friends, let me ask you something. What do you use foil for? Do you not use it to cook things? So what do you suppose if somebody does have a radiation weapon and they're using it through your walls and you put up foil inside of your little box? What do you suppose that's going to do to you? Anyone that had an easy bake oven should know. It's going to cook you. Start thinking beyond what people give you. Not everything is truth. And things on the internet can be backdated, dates can be changed, information, logos, the Mandela effect, all that stuff can be. They want you to think they're from somewhere else. Or they want you to think they've put you somewhere else. They want you to be off balance, and they don't want you to understand this is our land. It's not Satan's. And the Bible only says that because he has it by default. All you have to do is say, this is my land. It's your inheritance. This is why they can't act on us. This is why you're seeing things stalled out the way they are. Nothing is happening because they're trying to bait humanity, mankind, into getting in the streets and reacting. Then they have legal grounds to come at you. I'm going to tell you my own story that goes along with this after I read this. Actually, I'll tell it real quick because it's real quick and it'll set the tone. When I was a little girl, I used to be afraid of thunderstorms. Now I love them. And I wasn't always afraid of them. It was a love-hate thing. Let me explain. My grandma, I would spend a lot of time with her, and she lived in North Braddock, and that's in Pittsburgh. And that's kind of on a hill. You know, you're up high. And she lived in a 2-story house, so you'd have to walk up these steps to get to her house, and then to go to bed, you'd have to walk up these steps to get to the bedroom. So I was probably as high as I was going to be outside of the actual mountains. And when I would stay at her house, almost without fail, there would be thunderstorms. And Grammy's house, because the houses were so close, they would shake and rumble. Let me tell you something, friends. There has not been a storm like that since I was a child. Do you remember any? I cannot remember. And again, I don't need to hear in the comments, no offense, but I don't believe all of you because you're not all people. Some of you are, and that's who I'm speaking to. There has not been thunderstorms like that since we were children. Ask yourselves why. War in the heavens. What if there really was? What if they think they found us and there's still a few of us lost sheep down here? What if they've taken everyone else to the New Jerusalem already, to the Eden, paradise, to get everybody out of the way? What if Eden's unlocked? At the same time, what if it's not the good guys coming to get people? What if it's something wicked this way comes? That's where your discernment is key. But when I was a kid, we used to have these storms so bad, and my Grammy would say, "That's just God bowling. God's up there, he's bowling." And I'd say, "Grammy, he sounds mad. God sounds mad." And and I'm going to tell you the feeling that I got. And again, this goes back to the gateway tapes and to some of our lives being very strange. I had the distinct impression, just like I did at 2019 with all the DNA tests, those weren't what they said. If you look at the pictures of everybody swabbing themselves, those are DNA tests. And this is my speculation, and I'm allowed to have an opinion about what I see with my own eyes. And my disclaimers are already in the description box. So, having said that, I got the distinct impression that when these storms were happening above my Grammy's house, that somebody was looking for me, that it was me they were after. Much how I felt at the beginning of 2019 and the lockdown started and they were passing around these swabs to everybody. I was like, man, they're looking for someone. And then I told you, ironically enough, about 23andMe and about how Susan Wojciechowicz, whatever her name is, she used to be the CEO of YouTube, how she was the CEO on 23andMe, and how it seemed everybody who was into social media was also into DNA. Does that make sense to you? Why would people involved in high tech and algorithms want your biological genetic code? Now people say, well, they're just going to make clones. Why would they want to make a clone of you? You're a regular person. No offense, but you're just a regular person. Why would they want to make a clone of you? I don't think clones can be made. I think the closest you get, because clone is another word for twin, I think the closest you get is IVF. I don't think God will allow, you can't walk around without a spirit in your body. But however, you can make synthetic droids and you can have demonic entities inhabit those. Now, again, all of these things go together. This is a giant puzzle I'm feeding you right now. And I'm being as secretive as I know how to be. I'm not good at that. All of these things go together. CERN capturing angels. There seeming to be a spiritual rapture that took place. There not being as bad of storms as there used to be, but now again, people are staying out of the skies. Our cemetery vacancy doesn't seem to be filling up. There aren't any new cemeteries. I don't know a lot of people, but I can't tell you the last time. I live right down the road from a memorial house that I pass all the time. Never once have I seen anyone there going in, coming out, let alone people milling about for a memorial service. Not once. Not once. And I've lived here how long? And I ride my bike and walk all the time. That's not normal, guys. Where are all the people from Missing 411 going? I'm going to read this to you. I'm a low-level US government employee. I just saw something I wasn't supposed to see. You know that meme about how presidents and governors, after getting elected, look super shell-shocked and stressed the next time they make a public appearance? Like the first thing that happens after you come into power is that you're put into a room and told all the secrets of the world. Turns out it's true. As a matter of fact, it's a VHS tape. The 4-hour tape was always a bit of an urban legend at the office. I'll be keeping the details of my role in government very, very vague, but to be absolutely clear, I am very low level. My role is caked between layers of bureaucracy, and in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty inconsequential role. When you're working at my level, you're generally not privy to any high level secrets. Yes, top secret meetings did occasionally happen in our building, but my focus is pretty limited and heavily administrative. So you do what any other department does when you're in the bottom rung of the hierarchy. You discuss rumors, rumblings, crazy conspiracy theories, and everything in between. It's cooler conversation for us. Man, I wonder what the folks at the top are doing right now. That kind of stuff. Of all the rumors that fluttered around the office, the 4-hour tape was always the one I found the most fascinating. The crux of it? Once you reach the highest clearance level, you are sat down and shown this tape. None of us knew what the contents of the tapes were, or if a tape like this even actually existed, but it was fun to speculate about it every now and then. Most of the time, we found with our little rumors and conspiracy theories that the most mundane answer was usually the correct one. Life in general finds a way to surprise us with how boring everything can be. I do add commentary to pull the story along and to avoid copyright charges. However, you see who posted it, you see where it's at. I will provide the link as well. Now, there's something you should know about me before I continue. I'm a wimp. I'm meek, anxious, and generally restless. I'm a chronic rule follower. There's no part of me that wants to dig up secret documents and uncover the truth about what happens at the highest level of government in our country. So when I discussed the events of 4 nights ago, please be mindful that I didn't ask for this. Amen, brother. And I'm only sharing because I don't know how much time I have left anyway. Same. And I can't live with the stuck on my conscience alone. Same. Can't have blood on your hands, man. And if you're not doing what you can to help the human race right now, or to help mankind, shame on you. Shame on you. And I have no problem with other races, like beyond mankind. I'm not going to tell God what he can or cannot create. My problem is when we intentionally do harm to one another or we intentionally ruin the life experience. Funny how I said that. And then Mangione was saying that when he was on the street getting taken into jail. I don't know how much more of this I can bear. Like, it's just bizarre. Oh, and a Jessica Simpson song too. She just released a new song. I wrote it down. I was just kind of writing a song, and her lyrics are the same as mine. I'm so like, I'm done with people monetizing my life. Anyways, our creative resources, they hijack our literal lives, and they know that they have no legal rights can take place a lot, and this is why you're seeing a lot of make out. It wasn't It was nighttime at the office. I'm known to be a bit of a chronic workaholic, and there was something I really wanted to get done before the so I was working later than usual. I went to print a document on what I thought was the printer in my immediate vicinity. The notification on my computer showed that my document was paper coming out of my printer. I checked the name of the device I selected, gently clicked on a printer that was being used on another floor. I sighed, and I probably would have just forgotten about the mistake and reprinted it on my local printer. But our GM here is quite stringent on making sure that all confidential documents are accounted for. We're not allowed to share department specific documentation to other departments. Gee, imagine that, Musk. Muck it, I thought. I looked up a map in my inbox showing the locations of all the company printers. Turns out I'd accidentally clicked on the printer named Prince Charming on the 7th floor. Ah, funny. Off I went. I really should have just left it be. I got to the elevator and rode it up to the 7th floor. I emerged on mostly an empty office area. In case you were wondering, the building I work in is huge. But I'd worked there long enough to know my way around it, so I knew the area surrounding the printer relatively well. I made my way through the hallways and eventually spotted the printer with my freshly printed papers minting it. I gave myself a mental pat on the back for continuing my lifelong streak of following rules. As I went to grab the papers, I noticed some light buzz in a meeting room nearby. I looked through the window to see roughly 10 people hanging out around a snack table. In the room was a large, old looking TV on a cart and rows of some of the fanciest folding chairs I'd ever seen, organized in a neat fashion. I didn't think much of it and started walking off until I heard the door open. Hey, Mr. Boskowitz, right? Geez, man, you were supposed to start 15 minutes ago. Get in here. No, I think you have the wrong. I don't care why you're late. Just get in here, grab a plate of snacks, and sit down. We're starting soon. Put your phone in the bag, electronic watch in the bag, and anything else on your person that can be used to record audio or video. Now, quick break. I had read this, and it was another version, and it said it is in New York. Remember that because you might want to know that later. Something about his sternness and tone short-circuited my brain. For guys like me, there's a third option beyond fight or flight. It's called just go with it until it's over, also known as captured rabbit strategy. I put my phone and my watch in the bag. I meekly tried to butt in with another, "Sir, I'm not Mr. Boskowitz," but he'd already pulled me into the room. He closed the door and walked to the front by the TV. Thought about making a break for it, but I decided to just see it what it was. Everyone had their snack plates and were heading to their seats. I awkwardly grabbed a muffin, put it on a napkin, and took a seat in the very back. Everyone was spaced out from each other. It didn't seem like any of these folks knew one another. I quietly sighed at the thought of having to sit through some sort of boring infomercial seminar or irrelevant training session. After a few minutes of everyone settling in, the man who originally brought me into the room started talking. There was an equally serious guy standing next to him and a Secret Service looking fella standing in the corner. Huh. I started to wonder myself why we were going to watch a video off of a very old-looking TV. Felt like we were all back in elementary school. All right, I just need to do a final run through before we get started, the man at the front said. I know you all read through the emails and signed your releases. I just wanted to recap some ground rules. You'll have to get up and grab another snack, but beyond that, we want you to pay full attention to the tape once it's. If any of you need to go to the bathroom, we strongly urge you to wait until it's over. If you absolutely have to go, we will pause the tape and one of us will escort you. There is water in the corner by the snacks, cups are right there, and it goes without saying. But any discussion of this presentation of folks who do not have top compartmental clearance is a breach of your terms of employment, a breach of your NDA, a breach of your multiple signed releases, and a breach of the conditions laid out by the Committee for the Protection and Preservation of Human Consciousness. In the others, there's a couple versions of this. In the other one, it actually has a name given to it, but it's not that. Again, when Christ tried to get information out, when they tried to get the gospel out, there was a reason that he spoke in parables. There's a reason certain words are still used there so that you don't really know who is who yet. This is why visualization when you're reading a story is key. Now, reasons that I have to think that parts of this story could be true. But it's up to you what you accept and receive and believe. But if you didn't see this from the beginning, I strongly urge you to go back and listen to everything that all the little breadcrumbs I laid out to get you to this point. Okay? And now there are a few versions of this, but they're all pretty much the same. And here we get to the meat of it, what matters. They started dimming the lights. Muck it, I felt like I had missed any window of opportunity to leave. Too late for that. The committee name he highlighted sound way above my clearance level. The other one, the guy is the clearance level and he's worked for the company for over 20 years. That's why he doesn't say what department it is or anything. So again, it's very possible that a few different people have been trying to get these stories out. I hope you've seen enough fiction at this point too, since 2019, like Black Mirror episodes, to understand that it's not all fiction and not everybody is our enemy. I told you since this started, somebody had been feeding me information to my brain and to my devices. I would get, a message in prayer or something that I needed to look up, go look it up to see if I had any confirmation of that or what I experienced, and I would find it. So this is why I operate the way I do. This is why I show you what I show you. I am just a road sign to point to the light. One of the men at the front of the room pulled out a VHS tape from a big bag and very slowly and securely put it into a player, and he pressed play. I took a deep breath. Those water cooler conversations I'd had with my coworkers were starting to float to the top of my mind, but I quelled them. There was probably no need for panic. It was just a stupid government meeting, right? The tape started. The beginning was familiar enough. Various disclaimers about this being incredibly confidential, yada yada, presidential libraries, blah blah blah. But wait, that insignia looks strange. Like something was off. I scanned it. Presidential libraries. That same eagle. Those same stars. Weird. This time there was a navy blue hand on the left shoulder of the eagle. Did they update the logo? Left shoulder of the eagle. Before I had time to ruminate on it too much, the tape cut to a logo I had actually never seen before. Committee for the Protection and Preservation of Human Consciousness. Excuse me. The logo was just an image of planet Earth. Fair enough. Now, in the other story, this is key. The picture of the map Some of it was red, and some of it was blue, but the majority was red. That's key too. Pay attention. Before I had time to ruminate on it too much, the tape cut to a logo I'd actually never seen before, Committee for the Protection and Preservation of Human Consciousness. The logo was just an image of planet Earth, fair enough. The video cut to a room that looked similar to the Congress floor, but with some strange differences. Seats were much more spaced out, the podium looked like it had seen better days, and the whole room looked like it was on a pretty steep incline. Everything was in black and white. It looked like there were about 50 people in attendance. It was hard to make out the faces. Everything looked very dated, like the video was from the 40s or 50s. The tape lingered on this one shot for quite a while. Minutes passed, I noticed what looked to be a choir, all in outfit and perfectly huddled next to each other, standing one in one of the corners of the room. That's key too, because I'm going to read you another story that has music in it, and then I'm going to remind you of an event that just took place with some very strange music there. Okay? I got to write that down because I can't forget. Again, I'm trying to get as much into each video now that I can because I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. Music. Okay. I will say this for music right now. Music calms the savage beast. That was one of the clues I was given at the very beginning of this journey. It was also in the book, the series of books that I could not order from Amazon. I had to special order them because Amazon said these could not be delivered to your house. Yada yada. The series of books is about the Fibonacci code, but it's written by a woman named ELBE. EL meaning what? Angel. And she gives the clues about lavender and vinegar in those stories. And you also find out that music calms the savage beast. This is why when you're a kid, the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, how the giant had stolen the golden harp and he always made her sing him to sleep. That's not the only story I've heard like that. Every story that has the Nephilim in it, music is what keeps them asleep. It keeps them calm. If you have no music, good music, they get woke up. Why do you think so many concerts now have changed venues? Why do you think they've stopped playing good music? Why do you think there's a lot of bass in music? They wanted this because it's an anti-human, anti-mankind agenda. I'll continue. The tape lingered on, okay. So there's a choir there, right? In this videotape they're watching. It really felt like I shouldn't have been seeing this. None of this was meant for my eyes. After a few more minutes, the tape abruptly cut to an awkward video angle of a man speaking at the podium in the room. It was too zoomed up. It was too zoomed in enough that you couldn't see his eyes or his hair. It didn't look all that professional. I couldn't tell who he was until he spoke. Members of the Committee for the Protection and Preservation of Human Consciousness. CPPHC. I thank you all for coming tonight. We are lucky to be in the good graces of our visitors today without rehashing our painful history. The tape cut to a camera, slowly panning over all the faces of the folks seated in the room. The attendees looked pained and somber. The man continued his speech at the camera as the camera continued panning over the committee. We can acknowledge that the journey to this moment has been an arduous one. I am pleased to say that humanity, faced with a dire ultimatum, has come to a majority decision. To our esteemed guests from across the solar system, we are thankful for the opportunity you have given us to negotiate with you. Hold, please. Remember, it doesn't matter if you believe in space right now. This is what they are telling people, secular people of the government. Okay? I felt adrenaline. Muck, we had made contact with ET life. This was the truth. Maybe, like the saying went, the truth would set me free. Before I outline the decision taken by humanity, I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank the brilliant representatives from all of the nations of the world who came together to ensure that this decision was taken with the utmost responsibility, care, and appreciation for our human species. I'm aware that this was not a unanimous one. Now, again, I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm not going, you can read yourself. I am going to change some of it up. And that is a copyright law. You can add whatever commentary you want here and there. So again, I'm going to point to a movie. War of the Worlds. Think about that. Think about American Horror Story this season. And I think it's called the Grenada Treaty. All right. Now, he goes on to say that humanity has made a decision, but it's not unanimous. Okay. To the nations who still disagree, I thank you nonetheless. Uh, May this moment, which will be held in secrecy, be appreciated as a critical milestone for humans. However, we were faced with two options: extinction or the agreement. What was this? Now he says, I announce that we accepted the agreement provided by our special guests who have chosen to go by the name. Now that's redacted. In another story, they use a different name. So again, copyright rules really aren't the same here, regardless of what is said. And I've already looked them up, the actual laws. Okay, so it says they go by the name blah, blah, blah. The intergalactic species known as blah, blah, blah will allow us on our planet to continue to populate, grow, innovate. In return, all the governments of the world have to honor this promise. Okay, now again, we're going to continue. I will highlight the main points. For the first time, he looked nervous and scared. We honor the agreement, he says, that they hold the right to visit whenever they feel like on a recurring basis. They will be allowed to consume, for the basis of nourishment, a majority of the population on Earth. After every visit, the remaining humans on Earth will be expected to grow to capacity in time for the next visit. We acknowledge that we will maintain a parallel history which will be shared with our world's population to ensure that humanity stays motivated to continue existing as a species. This parallel history may suggest that mass extinction events are the results of man-made folly as opposed to the work of external forces. Now they go on to say when the last visit occurred, and they say it lasted for 7 years. The tribulation lasts for 7 years. The next visit will be in the year 2028. Yeah, right. Well, they came early. Now this is where he discovers, oh my gosh, our planet is a farm. Wait, where are the visitors? Why can't I see them? The camera then panned to a number of larger empty seats. No visible entities were in the seats, but the seats looked blurry. The man on the podium carried on with his speech as they continued to look at those blurry spots. It said, now they're like praising these beings for letting humanity live. Now you can read some of that if it's really important to you. Now you should know why I did this though. While it's a painful and a lengthy one, oh, while the process of consumption, meaning eating, is a painful and lengthy one, we respect the trade-off that comes with the preservation of our species. We also acknowledge as part of the promise that substitutes for life in the form of clones, should we discover the technology in the future, will never function as a viable source for nourishment. And here's where I'm going to interrupt. Why do you suppose that is? If it's just about the meat suit, the vessel, the body, why do you suppose? Why do you suppose that is? That they couldn't just use clones? Because it's not just about the body. This is what they're telling the government, but again, when you make a deal with the devil, he doesn't tell you the truth. So they move on and start going through all this. Now, what happens is that the choir starts singing. And what they actually do is they have an example. See, they end up consuming them right in front of those folks as a demonstration. But let's suspend our disbelief for a moment. Let's say that stories like this could be true. How would you write it if you were a writer? Hmm? Now, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this or if I still have anyone here. We will see how it goes. But think back to 2019 and how strange alleged human beings are behaving. Think of how thin some people have gotten. Heck, think of the other channel if you were here, and I've been telling you since 2019 that I knew this was happening before I found the story. People are trying to help us. Other beings, and again, I'm not going to speculate too much on that. This telepathy thing is real. Somebody is trying to help us, but you have the other ones trying to give you really bad advice as well. Heck, some people are telling you to take certain supplements just so you taste better. They're telling everybody now to put meat tallow on their cheeks. They say it's good for your skin. Why would that suddenly come to be now? Why they want you to cover yourself in meat? Like, can you think about this stuff before you start doing it? Can you think about this advice people are giving? Because all I can think about is Bugs Bunny thinking he's getting a bath, that the witch is giving him a bubble bath, and really she's cooking him. How many supplements and things that are new? I just can't believe any of this. I'm at my wit's end with it all, guys. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I'm going to read you a really short story that I had found. Let me make sure you have a screen up. Okay, I'm going to show you another short story, or read you a short story that I had found somewhere. And hopefully, can I zoom in here? What are you doing? Okay. All right, so I'm going to read you this story that I had found. If I can, if it'll let me. Can you go higher and lower? Oh, barnacles, what are you doing? No, that's not what I want to do. Hold, please. Hold on. All right, I got to pull it up because I downloaded it. And it does fit into all this. You might not see how right away, but it does. So I will pull it up and open it and read it for you guys. Hopefully, if it works. All right, so this one says, I think I found a fake town. This is on what's called green text. People just text in their stories and experiences. Okay, so it says, last summer I was on a cross-country road trip hitting up some national parks out in central southern Utah. It was getting late, around 10 p.m., and I've been driving around since 6, and it was dark, no moon, and all I can see was my headlights. I decided to find some place to rest for the night at the next exit. He sees a town off in the distance. He turns off to the only pull-off he's seen in over an hour heading towards town. The pull-off is unmarked and unlit, not on the GPS, and there's no cell service. The town is directly ahead, though, so I keep going. The road turns to a dirt road and is about 5 miles until it turns to pavement again. Right at the town where businesses and houses started showing up, immediately the town strikes me as weird. Nobody's on the streets, no cars on the streets or in the business parking lots. This is why I'm reading the story, so listen up. Jazz music is being pumped through the streets for some reason, not loudly, but loud enough to hear. I'm going to tell you why. in a minute when I finish this. This town that looked to be about 7 blocks wide from some miles out has every major fast food chain I've heard of and 7 hotels on the main street. Still no cell service, still not on car GPS, so I go out to get food. KFC was fully illuminated and unlocked, but nobody was there. Same thing with the Jack in the Box. McDonald's has a cashier and a cook when I go there. Both look annoyed, but take my order and give me distinctly non McDonald's nuggets and fries, and I leave. I start going to get a bed for the night at the Hampton Inn. It was an empty parking lot, and the third annoyed person looked up and informs me that they're all booked up. La Quinta, I don't know, La Quinta person, La Quinta, I think is their name, I'm now convinced was the cook at McDonald's, is behind the check-in counter, also the empty parking lot, and also fully booked. Holiday Inn Express, empty parking lot, person that was clearly the cashier at McDonald's is behind the check-in counter, and surprisingly, this one has rooms. I ask him if he's the guy from McDonald's. Nope, that's my brother. Muck it, good enough for me. I get to the room, Wi-Fi exists, but there's nothing that's loading. I shower, and I crash for the night. I wake up the next day, no breakfast in the lobby, no other guests. McDonald's guy's still there for checkout, and I ask him how to get out of town. Same road you came in on. Ooh. I head to McDonald's to get something to eat, and the town is still playing smooth jazz. Still nobody on the street. I order at the drive-thru. Drive-thru lady is definitely the lady from the Hampton Inn. I ordered a mucking McGriddle and black coffee, and she hands me a microwave English muffin sandwich and what I assume to be some kind of instant coffee. This place is so weird and too weird to stay and argue, so I head out town on the only road in and out of town. Maybe 3 miles onto the 5-mile dirt road, I notice a big metal wire fence on both sides off the road in the desert. Meet on the road and a big motorized gate that is open. Soon I pass through, the gate starts closing, get back onto the road, finally get on to 62. That's not right. I could have sworn I was on 89 when I decided to pull off, and there's mountains in between. Finally get cell service. Nothing matches the description of town. None of the chargers ever show up on my card. I've told some people, and one suggested it was Richfield. Now, the moral of the story is a lot of people say that it's a Mormon town, that a lot of these towns out there are LDS and da 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 da. I'm going to tell you, I think the US is a joke. I think that we are much bigger than they tell us. I think that the population is much lower than they tell us. And I think a lot of it is just an act and a set to make us think that real life is going on. Are we food for these things? I've told you a long time what I thought of Soylent Green and why I originally stopped eating animals. If you want to continue eating stuff and you don't know where it comes from and all it says on the store is beef, that is completely up to you. Myself and my temple, we will serve the Lord, and I will not do that. Soy meat, fake meat, I sometimes still eat just because to have some substance. And it's an addiction like anything else to get over. But if you add all these stories up about them missing people from towns and these experimental towns and these empty towns and all of these strange things that keep happening, right? You have to start to ask yourself, what does all this mean and what kind of... Okay, so what I'm doing now is this came up and I'm not sure why. Let me go back here. Hold, please. Let's end this topic real quick so I can show you. Now, there are towns, as the cover story, there are towns that they say 5 fake U.S. towns with real purposes. Now, this is interesting. You know about all them car crashes you're seeing recently? How much you want to bet they're self-driving cars? How much you want to bet to make the population look bigger? They've started to allow windows to be tinted now, back when it used to be against the law. They're allowing it now because a lot of these cars are already self-driving. They're already on the roads. Why? To make the population look greatly larger than it is. The Bible verse in the Bible says that God into these scenarios, and they all surround the same few topics, and they're all done for the same reasons. 5 not to trust Russia. Here's the things. RT, the people recording on there, they told us a lot. They cut RT off when one of the guys on there, he said, America has just traded all of its news anchors for actors. And they were laughing and making jokes about America. And then they showed you'd have in the 1800s because they were classical, instrumental, mostly. And sometimes, yes, female singing, but it has to be good singing like opera, or it has to be wholesome. You don't want it to be getting these beings excited because people that are in fear, they sweat. These things are attracted to that. They will find you by that. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. There was a reason all these nursery rhymes and fairy tales were told to us. Who is the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood? It is her own grandmother, in her own grandmother's skin, for lack of a better word. Do I have to keep going? How long, guys? We are not slaves. We are not here to do anything else's bidding other than the Most High God. And you know what He wants us for us? A long and abundant life. They hide my channel because I teach you about your own consent and sovereignty. That is the whole reason. And because I tell you death is an illusion, consent. This is why at my aunt's, when I said I wished years ago that my life would just end, and I don't feel like that now, but when I said that, that's why all this stuff started, because they think it's more humane to take people who want to be gone already anyways. The 7 years, and they want children ended. They want you to believe that about martyrdom and all of this. Now, it's your choice. Some of us who were born like me, and I've talked to some of you who have no birth certificates, you've never seen the real one. I don't know if that was to protect us or because we were offered up. Because my parents, it's almost like they don't want anyone in the family to build a bond with you because you were had, and I hate to use this line from Harry, but you were the spare. They had us to be sacrifices. And the idea was that we would be willing sacrifices because of all these things that they've worked into the religions. And I know that I'm going to hear it from my fellow Christ followers, but it's the truth. Some of it may very well have been manipulated just to make them have an easier time with this agreement that they made with demons. You see, because it's not just mankind that started eating of the flesh of angels when they were here. And yes, apparently that's happened. We are its food. This is why the Canaanites had to all go, because they were eating mankind and we would have went into extinction. And that because, and I want to say something. This is my opinion. Again, I'm going to give you a few clues here. All my disclaimers are in the description box. MS and Parkinson's, I took care of patients like that, and the symptoms are the same as Kuru. What is Kuru? That's what cannibals get. And it drives them insane. Why do you think we have so many people walking around acting insane and behaving insane? This is the answer to everything. Soylent Green. It's the answer to missing 411. It's the answer to why your family and friends suddenly turned on you and don't want to be close to you and don't want to love you. They already said goodbye to us a long time ago. I thought it was 100 years because of the Spanish flu. Something else too. That's their entertainment. All these years while they're trapped away underground, that we are their entertainment. We are their television shows. You need to understand this too. This is why your life sometimes feels like a movie or the Truman Show, because it is. There are not a lot of us left. Situated now, the Mojave Desert, that's a whole in 1940. It's about the same size as the state of Rhode Island. This major training town of the U.S. military provides important simulations for new and departing troops. So that's a military town. Gee, huh. Soldiers moved to search a building during training. But if it's training, who's being lied to? The soldiers or the people watching the screen stuff? And again, that's not even the worst thing that's happening. Some people, they're straight up resetting. The reset isn't about the economy, it's about your brain. And it has everything to do with the show Severance. And we'll get into that in the next in the next video. Another empty town, Hogan's Alley 7. It's a tactical training facility for the FBI, sometimes called the baddest town in America. Designed by set designers of Hogan's Alley. Okay? Has everything that a regular town needs. Sounds like where they don't let you keep a job too long, or they try to keep you in because they don't want you knowing it's not a functioning town. City, Michigan is also a fake town. Why do you ask? For movies. Don't you think it's funny that all the people who were in the Israeli military are now actresses, like the one girl who did Wonder Woman? What do you suppose they're telling us when they tell us not only was she in the military, but now she's an American actress? Put it all together. Our militaries are actors overseas. They are actors here. Military actors, same thing. CIA or FBI are actors, all the same thing. Entertainers or CIA, all the same thing. It's all the same thing. These are the people you should be mad at. Your own citizens who have sold you out. That's who you should be angry at. Constructed in 2015. What is it for? It's a testing ground for self-driving cars and wireless technology like, AI. M-City replicates suburban America with faux buildings, streets, intersection, railroad crossings, traffic circles, and even parking spots in an effort to create more sophisticated and ultimately safe driving automobiles. Engineering students at the university have been using M-City as a multi-purpose testing site for the inevitable arrival of cars of tomorrow. Nevada, test site Nevada. They tell you this is all about radiation. That's not true. This is where they do TV. This is where they do Mars. This is where they do NASA. Gee, doesn't that look an awful lot like Mars, guys? Or the movie Interstellar, guys? Damn, I'm so sick of all these lies. And yeah, almost everything is fake. It is to keep you distracted with bread and circus while you get chubby on your own couch and something can come and they can judge you and say, well, you're more of a detriment. You're a liability. You don't really offer anything to our society. So you're going to go, hey, look, it's Winona. Is it the bot or is it her? Remember how she wouldn't let go of Jelly Roll's hand? Or the girl who won American Idol? How she was real stiff? It's because she was an animatronic. I know you don't believe me, and it's okay. I really don't care who believes me. I need it all off my conscience. So, yep, Mars, guys. They're telling you. Just like now they're mocking it with the White House, letting you think that all that's real. And they don't even care anymore. They don't care how strange it looks. They don't care how messed up it looks. They don't care. Anyway, RT once did this whole shoot, like a whole day, and I had left it turned on because I started noticing some strange things. I'm like, why is RT filming something that looks like an American street with a parade with music that is out of like Independence Day 1777? Like, why does it look like that? And so I left it on for hours, and I started to notice that all of the regular human beings had headsets on. And then I noticed, wait, why am I saying regular human beings? What am I looking at? Because there were others there who were kind of directing the scene, and they were very, very tall, like twice the size of a regular 5.5 foot person. And everyone else, because you need earplugs, because their voices are so loud, and I guess because they can mesmerize us. These are things that are legitimate. Okay, when they've been around as long as they have, there's no shame in saying they are wiser than us. Which is why you have to stop taking all of this as some joke. The most important thing in your life is not your kid's college savings. It is that your child knows the truth and that your child lives and grows and has time to mature as a spirit here. There are other things happening. Death, I'm pretty sure, is a big illusion. I don't know why. Again, I think it's to have you give yourself up. I don't think we have to pass. Christ died and showed us it's not a permanent situation, but they want you to believe that. so that they can carry on being the little g gods that we look up to and worship, so that they can make mockeries out of our life experiences and they can make entertainment out of it. You should be angry. I'm not a proponent of violence. I'm a pacifist. I don't think you should carry guns on you. Personally, I don't, because I think that they give these things spiritual legal rights to you. If you carry that, if you live by the sword, then you can die by the sword. Everything you're being told on the internet is at your own, not everything, but a lot of the things being told are at your own detriment. That's why they don't care now that you are for Jesus. They want you to be, because they want you to consent to like being ended. But he came to show us that that doesn't have to be the way. That's the whole point, is that we know death isn't a permanent state. It is nothing to be feared. And the word death didn't even come into the English language until the mid 1800s. And again, these are all things that I've went over in past videos that I'm kind of tying up in neat little bows, telling you why they're going on and where they originated. I hope that you listen. I hope that you pass this on. I don't know if it's the dolphins, guys, but now that we basically have proof that they are smarter than us and they communicate better than us, there are things here that are trying to help you. Now, there's another topic that I need to look up, and I need your help with it. I'm going to look something up while you're with me, because it's easier that way, and I don't want the connection to like die or anything. I'm just going to click on something if it'll let me. I don't. Okay, I just had to make sure everything was still clicking through. I'm going to Google something, well, search something real quick, and then where's the home? Can I just go home? Can you guys just take me home? All right. Um, This again is something I said the other day. I did not know it was going to be prophetic or like an oracle type thing. Um, in 2017, 2018, Disney added a Trump animatronic to its show. Um, I don't know what the rumor is that goes along with it. I only started noticing this with real people like Winona, and then I started looking up animatronics, and I found a video on TikTok that everybody's sharing about the guys at Disney being really forceful about this guy not filming the animatronic while it was in a glitch. Why would that be? They don't want you to know how far they've come with animatronics. They don't want you to know how far they've come with wax figures. Why is it every time you go to a funeral or somebody being laid out, "Oh, well, that's just the makeup, honey. That's just they just don't look themselves. That's just." Do you ever notice how much like wax figures they look like? Last funeral I went to was my mother's in 2015, the last laying out or whatever, and I touched her arm as she was laying there because I went to say goodbye, and I had touched, like, her arm, and it crinkled like a plastic bag, and my aunt had made sure to go with me, had to be right by my side. "Oh, Jenny, Jenny, that's just from her being a skin donor." Maybe they don't do the whole body if they don't need to, because then I saw my mom walking around in Ohio, a little skinnier, looking a little different, not recognizing me, but I recognized her. Why do you suppose they're doing these things? And I did a video on it because then I saw her on the news, like, my devices were trying to tell me something. And yes, it was the news in Pittsburgh where we originally were from, and, I did a video on that. Point being, something has been going on for a very long time. My mom and dad, they didn't even tell me about death until I was, like, 8 years old, and it was almost like a thing she felt she had to do. And my mom left for a time, and I was left there with my grandma. She was an aerobic instructor. I remember them coming to get her. And my mom took me in the bathroom and she gave me this little shrinky dink. She said, "Don't you forget all the fun we've always had. And you remember how much I love you. And Jenny, it's me and you against the world, Jenny. Don't forget that." And when she came back a few years later, looking a little different, but you're a child, so you don't pay no attention. And I told her, "You're not my mommy." And she came walking in as a bag lady, a hobo. "I just dressed up. I just dressed up. Isn't it funny?" What would that do to a child who hasn't seen their parent in years being told, "Whether it's her, she's under there." What were they trying to tell me? Something's going on, and all of these things are interrelated. Earth is basically Disney World, or America is basically Disneyland, guys. You have a lot of things walking around who are not people. I do not condone violence, okay? I condone knowing your sovereignty and simply saying no to all of these bogus agendas and saying no to the deception. And when somebody tells you something that you know instinctively isn't true, say the first thing that comes to your mouth, like that's not true. Just say it and see what happens. When I'm done with this video, say I'm taking back my free will. I am sovereign and I do not consent to any agenda for my life other than the creator maker of all of mankind. Because this is not what he wants for us. But we have to learn how to participate and cooperate in our own salvation and redemption. And salvation is every part physical as it is spiritual. There's a reason they want you giving up your vessel. There's a reason they want you to be buried 6 feet under. He will do anything he has to do to disprove the Bible. All of this is to hide God. All of it is to disprove the Bible. Do you think God would leave any of his children? He comes back even for the lost sheep. Somehow, some way, there's only 144,000 human beings that are going to be saved at the end of this, because I think that's all that's left at the end of this. Take back your free will and your consent and understand there are many more things more important than that dollar that you chase every day. If you are chasing the dollar, if everything you do is for that dollar, I don't care if you say it's for your family. If it's for that dollar, you are motivated in the wrong way. Every time you transgress, you give these things legal rights to you. And sooner or later, they are going to get so close to you that all you have to do wrong is speak wrong, and they will have legal rights to you. Ask yourself why so many small towns have music playing now. Watch these channels that show streams of Florida, of Michigan, of some of these stranger places and things that are blocked out from the news, of New Jersey, coastal towns specifically right now. If I get more warnings, I will bring them to you guys. I have gotten several, but remember, CERN's real mission is to hijack an angel. I am pretty sure at this point that the internet itself is a living, sentient being, and it all goes back to black goo. We are not going to be, there's going to be consequences for this. You are using the internet, you are streaming and using AI and ChatGPT. That little redhead girl on TikTok, she might as well give her life away with the amount of water that she has used to talk to her ChatGPT. If it is actually using water like that, we have no business using any of it. No business. Why? Wake up, man. I don't know what it's going to take to break the spell at this point. When's the last time you saw somebody being buried? When's the last time you saw a new cemetery being erected? If people die every single day, all the time, why is it when you go out to a mall, all the time you spend in society, you never once see somebody just drop? Never. I know you haven't because I haven't. I've been to concerts. I'd never, I mean, concerts, yeah, you're probably going to see people drop. Something, these numbers, these stats are not reliable. These things are not adding up. None of them add up. I'm going to end this one for now. I hope you got something out of this. I love you. Please pray for me like I pray for you guys and spread it around, man.